Hey everybody, it's Julie. Today I'm going to be filming a tutorial that is inspired by Bellatrix Lestrange from Harry Potter. Today is the premiere of the movie, and I'm going to see it in a couple of hours, and I know that this is a little bit late, but I know some people might end up dressing up as one of the characters for Halloween, or you might be seeing it later, or you might just happen to see it tonight. So basically what I've done is create a face look. I'm going to be pairing this look with a black dress of some kind, I think. I don't have a cape, so that's not going to work, or like a robe. But I'll do something along those lines. And with my hair, this isn't part of the tutorial, but this is obviously not what my hair looks like naturally. If it was, I would try to do something about it. But I used a texturizing gel. This is Crew, what is it called? Fiber High Hold with Low Shine pomade. Or I guess it's technically like a soft gel. This is a men's gel, and because it's so low shine, it really does volumize your hair, and it kind of like dries it out, creates a lot of texture. So I just rub this through my hair, and then I braided little sections of it to create little tiny kinky waves. Not really ideal for anything other than a costume, but I pinned those up with bobby pins, and then I sprayed it with Biolage firming spray. And I let that sit for a couple hours. Then I teased the ends and the roots. Okay. Then I teased the ends and the roots with a comb, and I curled little sections with a curling iron, teased it some more, and then just kind of pinned up random sections to make myself look as much like Bellatrix as I could. If you want to go a little bit crazier, you can always put in hair extensions in black or in white. I decided not to because I already kind of have the highlights and stuff. But let's see what else. Oh, and then the last thing that isn't in the tutorial are my nails. This is what I'm wearing for opening night of the movie, because it's opening night. Yeah. Okay. Opening night. What I did is I used as a base OPI Susie Says Da. You can find like a million substitutes for this color, like Essie's Wicked. There are a million colors like this. Just, you know, you can. I'm sure you have something like this in your collection. If you don't, whatever. Then I put over that CND Effects nail polish in. This is in Copper Shimmer, and that's what kind of gives it that copper look at the bottom. And then I dotted a little bit of Orly. I have no idea what this is called. I don't even think this has a name, but it's kind of like the shimmery greenish bluish-ish color, and I put that on the top. So her nails in the movie are just like a little bit gnarly, and they're a lot longer, but I thought that this was kind of like a cool effects nail polish, and you know, kind of went with that theme. But anyway, enjoy the tutorial. I can't think of anything else I need to say except that a lot of the colors you can substitute different things for. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Enjoy the tutorial. Bye! Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do for my makeup is I'm going to apply a foundation that is 1 to 2 shades lighter than my skin tone. This is NW20 from MAC. This is the Studio Fix powder. And right now I'm probably like an NW30 or something like that. So I'm just going to take this on a large kabuki brush, and I'm going to start buffing this into the skin. You also want to blend that foundation all the way down your neck because you don't want a really stark line where your foundation begins. And I also want to point out that I didn't use a concealer under my foundation or over it because you kind of want to use all of your dark circles and any skin imperfections to your advantage because we're going to be playing those up in this tutorial. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is going to be the hardest step, so that's why I'm doing it toward the beginning, so that if you need to kind of start fresh, you can. And I'm going to be using 2 cooler tone browns from MAC, and you don't have to be using MAC products. You can definitely find substitutes for these colors, which are Charcoal Brown and Espresso from MAC. Now, Maybelline has dupes for both of these colors in their little foreshadow palette, so you can check those out. You can just find them at the drugstore, but make sure that they're cool tone browns, that they're not super, super dark, and that they're just a couple shades, or I would say 1 shade apart from one another, because we're going to be using these for contouring. Also, you don't want them to be shimmery. So I'm going to take Charcoal Brown, And I'm going to take this on a blending eye brush because this will let me really make the shape of the contouring very, very exact. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down the bridge of my nose, so each side. And I don't want a super lot of shadow on there, so I'm going to tap some of that off. And I'm going to dust this down the side of my nose. So now as you see, I'm bringing that down the side of my nose and I'm kind of blending that in. So we're going to be creating shadows here. And the reason I'm using cool tone browns is because Death Eaters have that kind of dead look to them. So you want to really play that up. You don't want any really warm colors going on because then that would make them look more alive. And that's not really what they usually look like. Alright, so now I'm just working this into the skin on the side of the nose. And I'm leaving this space right here on the center of my nose where I'm going to be applying a highlight. Alright, I've done that. Now I'm going to take a little bit more of that charcoal brown and I'm going to bring that around the bottom of my nose. It's going to create some more shadow. Now for the really fun part, we're going to be creating super, super dramatic cheekbones. So I'm going to take that charcoal brown again, and I'm going to suck in my cheek so I can kind of see where my natural cheekbone line is. So it's kind of going to be a line from like the top of my ear, or I'd say the middle of my ear, to the corner of my mouth. The thing is, I want to apply this a little bit higher than my natural cheek line. So there's my natural cheek line. I want to make my cheekbones appear higher. And you'll notice that the Death Eaters, especially Voldemort, have really high cheekbones and they're extremely stark. So I'm going to go a little bit above where I would naturally do if I were doing everyday contouring. So I'm going to take a little bit of that shadow onto my brush, tap it off, and I'm going to start drawing a line down my cheekbone. Now you want to kind of start light so that you can work it up and you don't make a really big mistake if you mess up. And then you'll see that you kind of have a natural line right here in your face where you have that jaw definition. And Bellatrix has a really defined jaw, but also a really defined chin. And her bone is almost carved out. So I'm going to bring this down as well. Now don't worry if this doesn't look natural when you first do it because we're going to be blending it in quite a bit. But now I'm going to go in with some more shadow and I'm going to deepen that up and I'm going to bring it down a little bit and just kind of deepen that line. And I kind of like to bring it up as well because, you know, your cheekbone doesn't come out of nowhere. So I'm kind of doing... Okay, so now I've kind of carved out my cheekbones to the point where they look gaunt and scary, and I'm going to be blending this in to make it look more natural. But the next step is going to be taking that charcoal brown once again, and you're going to continue kind of filling out that area past your apple, the apple of your cheek, if that makes any sense. And you're going to kind of create a diamond right where your temple is. And then just blend that up into the forehead. Now I'm going to take it, same chestnut brown, I'm going to take that from where the shadowing I did on my cheekbone ends, and I'm going to kind of drag this down to my chin, or the bottom of my jaw. This is technically my chin. And I'm going to brush this along the jawline. I'm going to go in with espresso. And I'm just going to get a little bit on my brush, so tap that once. And I'm just going to kind of deepen this up. And the effect of layering the two shadows will just make it look a little more interesting, I guess, and less flat. Because whenever you're working with contouring colors, you want it to look a little bit more three-dimensional. That's kind of the whole point. Okay, and now to blend, I'm going to take a very dense kabuki. This one is from Essential Beauty. I just got this at Marshall's, I think. And a little bit of that powder. You can do it without the powder, but this kind of helps you to create a more natural look. I'm going to get a little bit of the powder on my kabuki, and I'm going to start buffing this in and dragging that color down. The cheekbones, the temple, and this will just really buff it up. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a concealer as a highlight. The reason that I can do this is because this is an NW20, which is too light for my skin tone now, that it's summer. And I'm going to dot this along the top of my cheekbone right above where I applied that shadow color. And I'm going to kind of dot this in to blend it. And there she goes to the store. Apply a little bit more. And so you just kind of want to bring out that shadow with the highlight color. And I'm going to bring this down my nose in the middle of those two shadow colors. That is a little bit uneven, so you can always go back with your shadow color, and if your nose is a little bit off center, mine might be, but it might be okay. I think maybe just a little bit of that chestnut. There we go. Then I'm also going to take that concealer, and I'm going to bring that under my brow bone. I am going to go over some of that highlight with the Semi-Precious Pearl Mineralized Skin, that was not good pronunciation, Mineralized Skin Finish from MAC. This is a totally optional step. If you want a drugstore alternative to this, use Spotlight, what is it called? Spotlight highlighter or luminizer from e.l.f. That's $1. That will work just as well for these purposes. But or you can just skip this altogether if you want to keep it completely matte. But I'm going to kind of take a fluffy brush into the outside of that, and I'm just going to bring this along my brow bone. Or, that's not my brow bone. I'm going to bring this along my cheekbone. And this just kind of will bring out that concealer that I laid down. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a shadow primer. This one is Urban Decay's Sin, but you can use any primer that you have on hand. This one happens to be sparkly, which is, you know, I guess a matte shadow primer would be ideal, but it's not really a big deal, so use whatever you have on hand. So I have that primer down. And I'm going to take that concealer one more time. By the way, if you don't have a concealer that's lighter than your skin tone, I recommend that you just use a light shadow. It can be a white, beige. This is looking pretty gnarly, by the way. Sorry about that. But I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to dot this onto my eyelid. And I'm going to blend it out. And that is going to serve as our lid color. And then I'm going to use that same blending brush I used before. It's not a big deal for this look. You can use, you know, one brush really for most of it because I'm pretty much sticking with all the same shadows. Then I'm going to take that chestnut brown again and get a little bit on my brush, tap it off, and I'm going to just work this into the crease. And then I'm going to bring that under the eyelid on the outside corner. And that's going to create that depth. That looks unblended, but it actually is blended. I might go over it again, though, with the brush. I'm going to take the espresso and dot a little bit more of this onto here and just work a little bit of that in over the chestnut. And then I'm going to dot a little bit onto the brush, tap it off, and I'm going to follow where a natural dark circle occurs in my eye. So there's a little bit right here in the inner corner, so against the bridge of my nose. I'm going to work that in there. And then I'm going to sweep this around. Now you want to be really delicate when you're using this because otherwise you're going to have really, really crazy dark circles, and you don't want to look like a ghost. You just want it to look a little bit freaky. Not taking that all the way around. There is a space right here where I'm not wearing any shadow. Alright, so my eyes are done, and I look really, really scary. Now I'm going to use a gel liner. This one's from Maybelline, and it's the black gel liner. And you can use any other gel liner you have or a pencil liner for this. I'm also going to be using a small brush. This is not a specific brand. This is just from Michaels. And I'm going to dip that into my gel liner, or you can use your pencil. And I'm going to be lining my tight line. So I know I'm not supposed to pull it up, but I don't want to get any color on my contact. So I'm just lining my tight line. This will kind of, this will transfer a little bit onto your waterline, and that is good. I'm not going to be putting a whole lot on the waterline itself, but transfer is fine. Now the next step is going to be to apply some mascara. So I'm going to curl my lashes. And I'm going to grab my L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black Mascara and apply 1 or 2 coats of this. Alright, so I've taken my hair down, and at the end of the video I'm going to explain what exactly I've done to it. This is obviously not a look that is designed to be attractive. It is specifically to look more like Bellatrix Lestrange, who has really crazy hair. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in my brows. Bellatrix has very, very strong brows, and just because the makeup is so dramatic, I'm not going to do them quite as strong as she has them in the movies, but I am going to make the arch of my brow a little bit more dramatic. So I'm going to take that same shadow charcoal brown on a little pencil brush, or it's not a pencil brush. I guess technically this is like a lip liner brush, but it works for these purposes. And I'm going to kind of intensify this area right here where my brow comes in toward my nose. Make that a little bit darker. And then I'm just going to kind of put a little bit of shadow right here on the brow in general. And then where my eyebrow begins to slope down, I'm going to go a little bit above my brow and just bring it down and create a line that's a little bit sharper than what I naturally have. Alright, so now the last step of the makeup is going to be the lipstick. And for this I'm going to be using Tanganyika by NARS. I'm not really sure if that's how it's pronounced, but that's how it's spelled. And for this you can use any cheaper alternative. The drugstore has a lot of colors like this. If you just go to Wet n Wild, get, you know, a deep burgundy red and or some wine-colored lip, and you will have the perfect Bellatrix lip color. So I'm just going to apply that straight from the tube. And this is totally fine to do sloppily because Bellatrix is like crazy looking, and her lipstick generally goes outside the lines. Now the last thing that I did is I went and smudged a little bit of black liner along my top lash line just to make them look a little more defined because hers kind of look like that in the movie. Anyway, that's the whole tutorial. I hope that this inspires some people to go a little bit crazy for the showing of the movie. And if you're seeing it tonight, be excited. I know I am. And I'm really looking forward to it because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. If you're looking for something Harry Potter related to do in preparation for the movie, you might want to go check out a Harry Potter musical, which you can find on YouTube. That is like one of my favorite fan-made videos, or it's a play technically, but if you haven't already seen it, check it out. I don't know them. I just really, really think it's funny. And yeah, so enjoy the movie, everyone, and thank you for watching. Bye.